The orbital stadium hummed with energy, its massive curved walls reflecting the swirling violet storms of Xanthophy below. Thousands of alien spectators filled the stands, chittering insectoids, hulking reptilians, floating gelatinous masses, all buzzing with anticipation for the season's opening match. The air smelled of ionized metal and the sharp tang of alien sweat. Marcus Rocket Carter adjusted the neural interface on his temple, feeling the familiar tingle as his augmentation synced. His muscles thrummed with suppressed energy, every fiber honed by years of Earth's most brutal training regimens. The locker room around him was chaos, Zurian linebackers clacking their armored plates together in pre-game rituals, Vexian strikers stretching their triple-jointed limbs, a pair of telepathic cerebrians floating silently in meditation. Human, sneered a voice like grinding stones. Marcus turned to see Gorks, the Zurian team captain, looming over him. The alien's exoskeleton gleamed under the stadium lights, his forearms flexing with barely contained aggression. You ready to break today, Softskin? Last game, you barely walked off the field. Marcus smirked, rolling his shoulders. Funny, I remember you being the one carried out on a stretcher after our last tackle. Gorks' mandibles twitched, a Zurian sign of irritation. Before he could retort, the locker room's main hollow screen flickered to life. The Galactic Sports League emblem spun into view, followed by the towering, chitinous form of Commissioner Vorath. The Krellian's segmented eyes scanned the room, his voice echoing through the speakers. Attention all GSL athletes and staff. Effective immediately, the League Council has voted to implement Article FA-B of the Interstellar Competition Charter. A murmur ran through the room. Marcus felt his stomach tighten. Article FA-B, the biological unfairness clause, only ever used once before to ban the telekinetic Myrathi after they dominated Zero. Gravity racing. Vorath continued, his voice dripping with false sympathy. After extensive review, human physiology has been deemed too unpredictable for fair competition. Enhanced pain tolerance, adrenaline responses exceeding galactic norms, and neural plasticity creating unfair adaptability advantages. He paused. All human athletes are hereby suspended indefinitely from GSL events. Silence, then laughter. A chorus of clicks, hisses, and gurgling alien amusement erupted around Marcus. The Cerebrians pulsed with smug violet light. Gorks clacked his forearms together, leaning down until his faceted eyes were level with Marcus' face. Hear that, meatbag? You're too dangerous, he snorted. Or maybe just too fragile to play with real species. Marcus ignored him, staring at the screen where Vorath was now listing supposed medical evidence. His fists clenched. 3 years. 3 damn years of proving himself in this league, of breaking every stereotype about soft, weak humans. And now this. A Vexian striker slithered past, her elongated torso twisting in mock sympathy. Don't look so upset. You humans were cute while you lasted. Marcus grabbed his gear bag and pushed through the crowd. The laughter followed him into the hallway, where holographic banners displayed past GSL champions. Not a single human face among them. His comm link buzzed, a message from Earth's Terran Athletic Coalition. They're scared, Rocket. Scared of what we can do. He stared at the words, then at the stadium beyond the viewport, the glittering symbol of everything he'd fought for. The laughter still echoed in his ears. Marcus smiled. Unpredictable, he whispered to the empty corridor. Or just better, the sound of the crowd roared as the season's first game began without him. The press conference chamber hummed with energy, its domed ceiling reflecting the glow of floating holographic displays. Reporters from a dozen species clustered around the central podium, their recording devices buzzing. Marcus Carter stood at the back, arms crossed, his augmented muscles tense beneath his skin. He didn't belong here, not officially, but no one had stopped him from entering. Maybe they didn't think a human was worth noticing. Vorath, the GSL commissioner, stepped onto the podium, his chitinous plates clicking with each movement. His 4 eyes scanned the crowd, lingering for a fraction of a second on Marcus before moving on. The Galactic Sports League has always stood for fairness, Vorath began, his voice a deep, resonant growl. After extensive review, we have determined that human biology presents an imbalance. A murmur rippled through the crowd. A Vexian journalist near the front raised a slender limb. Commissioner, can you clarify what you mean by imbalance? Vorath's mandibles twitched. Human athletes possess reflexes and pain tolerance far beyond predicted parameters. Their adrenaline responses are unpredictable. This creates an uneven playing field. Marcus snorted. Unpredictable. That was one way to put it. A Zurian reporter, his armored hide gleaming under the lights, leaned forward. So, this isn't about the incident on Zenthar, the human who lifted a Zurian lineman over his head. Vorath's grip tightened on the podium. That was an outlier. The decision is based on comprehensive data. Marcus' jaw clenched. Outlier. Right. Had seen the footage. Every human had. Private Jansen, a Marine drafted into the GSL's Gravity Ball League, had single-handedly dragged 3 Zurian players across the goal line. The aliens hadn't known what hit them. A data pad near Marcus' elbow flickered. He glanced down. A message scrolled across the screen. Unsigned, untraceable. Check the archives. Level Fey, they're lying. Marcus pocketed the pad. Level Fey was the GSL's restricted database. Getting in would be suicide. But then again, Head always had a talent for breaking rules. The press conference droned on. Vorath fielded questions with practiced ease, deflecting every challenge. This is about preserving the integrity of the games, he insisted. Human participation was an experiment. A failed one. Marcus couldn't stay silent any longer. Failed for who? His voice cut through the chamber. Every eye turned toward him. Vorath's antennae stiffened. This is not a forum for the truth. Marcus stepped forward. You're banning us because we're winning. Because your champions can't keep up, the Zurian reporter scoffed. Winning humans are barely a footnote in GSL history. Marcus grinned. Then why ban us? Vorath's exoskeleton darkened, a sign of anger among Krellians. The decision is final. Human athletes will be removed from all leagues effective immediately. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Others, mostly the smaller, less dominant species, looked uneasy. Marcus caught the eye of a slender Kerian journalist. Her feathery crest flattened in what Head learned was disapproval. As the chamber emptied, Marcus lingered. The datapad in his pocket felt heavier than it should. He needed answers. The archives were deep in the stadium's underbelly, accessible only by high-clearance personnel. Marcus didn't have clearance, but he had something better. A Zurian security guard who owed him a favor. 5 minutes, the guard rumbled, his voice barely audible through his rebreather. And if you're caught, I never saw you. Marcus nodded and slipped inside. The archives were a maze of glowing terminals and stacked data crystals. Level Fey was at the center, locked behind a biometric scanner. Marcus pulled a small device from his sleeve, a gift from an old friend in Black Ops. The scanner blinked green, the files loaded with a soft chime, performance records, medical reports, and most damning internal memos. Subject human athlete performance. Recommendation, immediate suppression. Their physical capabilities exceed all models. If this becomes public, the GSL's credibility is finished. Another file, footage of a human sprinter, moving faster than the cameras could track. A third, a weightlifter shattering a Zurian record by Fey Marcus' hands, tightened around the pad. They'd known all along. Footsteps. He turned just as the lights flickered on. Vorath stood in the doorway, his massive frame blocking the exit. I should have known you'd be trouble. the commissioner hissed. Marcus didn't flinch. Unpredictable, remember? Vorath's claws flexed. Give me the pad. Or what? You'll ban me harder? The Krellian lunged. Marcus ducked, rolling beneath the swipe of razor-sharp limbs. He came up swinging, his augmented fist connecting with Vorath's midsection. The commissioner staggered, his exoskeleton cracking under the impact. For a second, shock flickered across Vorath's face, then rage. Marcus didn't wait for the rest. He bolted for the door, the data pad clutched tight. Behind him, Vorath's roar of fury echoed through the archives. He had what he needed. Now it was time to show the galaxy the truth. The United Nations Assembly chamber buzzed with outrage. Delegates from every Earth nation packed the circular hall, their voices rising in a storm of indignation. Screens lining the walls displayed the GSL's official ban notice in glowing alien script. The words, biological unfairness, pulsing like an accusation. Marcus Carter leaned against the back wall, arms crossed. His augmented muscles still ached from yesterday's final match, the one that had apparently broken the galaxy's patience with human athletes. Around him, Terran diplomats shouted into microphones, their words translated into 100 languages. This is nothing but discrimination, roared the Russian delegate, slamming a fist on the table. Our athletes pass every physical test the GSL demands. A hologram of the GSL commissioner Vorath flickered above the central podium. The Krellian's chitinous face remained impassive. The decision is final. Human physiology creates an unstable competitive environment. Your adrenaline responses border on berserker states. Your pain tolerance exceeds rational limits. The League cannot. Bullshit. The word cut through the chamber like a gunshot. All heads turned toward Marcus. He pushed off the wall, his enhanced legs carrying him to the podium in 3 strides. The holographic Vorath towered over him, but Marcus didn't flinch. You scanned my DNA last season, Marcus said, his voice calm but carrying. You approved every augmentation. Now suddenly we're unstable? Vorath's mandibles twitched. New data has come to light. On the main display screen, footage played of Marcus' last race. His limbs a blur as he shattered the galactic sprint record by 2 full seconds. Alien spectators in the stands gaped in shock. The video froze on the moment Marcus crossed the finish line, his human competitors close behind. A French delegate stood abruptly. This isn't about safety, it is about humiliation. The GSL can't handle being beaten by primates. Laughter rippled through the chamber, but Marcus didn't smile. His eyes stayed locked on Vorath's hologram. What happens to our contracts, our rankings? The Krellian shifted uncomfortably. All human athletes will receive termination payouts per league regulations. How generous, Marcus spat. He turned to the assembled delegates. They think they can buy our silence, our compliance. A commotion erupted near the doors. Reporters scrambled aside as a group of massive figures entered. Other banned human athletes. A towering Samoan weightlifter, a Kenyan marathoner with cybernetic lungs, a Ukrainian gymnast whose neural implants allowed impossible aerial maneuvers. They moved through the crowd like a wave, coming to stand behind Marcus. The Russian delegate grinned. Ah, here comes the cavalry. Vorath's hologram flickered again. This display is unnecessary. The Galactic Sports League's decisions are rigged. Marcus pulled a data chip from his pocket and slotted it into the podium console. The screens changed instantly, showing private GSL memos between Vorath and team owners. Human performance metrics must be capped. Marcus read aloud as the damning text scrolled by. Your commend implementing hidden handicaps for Terran competitors. The chamber erupted in shouts. A British diplomat stood slowly, adjusting his glasses. Commissioner Vorath, would you care to explain why the GSL was secretly testing adrenal inhibitors on human athletes without their consent? Vorath's exoskeleton darkened, a Krellian tell for panic. Those documents are classified. Not anymore. Marcus tapped the console again across Earth, across the colonies, across the galactic data networks. The truth went viral. The Vexian sports analyst's sneering broadcast played on a side screen. Let them cry. What will they do? Form their own league. Marcus turned to his fellow athletes. He didn't need to speak. The weightlifter cracked his knuckles. The gymnast spun a data knife between her fingers. The marathoner just smiled. Back at the podium, Marcus activated the global address system. His voice echoed from Sydney to Mars. No, we'll burn theirs down. The chamber exploded in cheers. Delegates from rival Earth nations embraced. Reporters shouted questions. Vorath's hologram dissolved into static as the GSL severed the connection. Only Marcus saw the alert flash on his wrist display. An encrypted message from an unknown sender, coordinates, a time, and 3 words. Bring the fire. He smiled for the first time since the ban. The game was just beginning. The air in the blood pit stank of ozone and sweat. The recycled atmosphere thick with the musk of a dozen different species. Marcus Carter cracked his knuckles as he stepped onto the makeshift arena floor, a repurposed cargo bay with flickering overhead lights and bloodstains that never quite scrubbed out. The crowd roared, a chaotic mix of alien voices and pounding appendages against metal railings. Human, 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 they chanted, the sound vibrating through Marcus' bones across from him. A hulking Zurian named Krazak flexed his 4 arms, each thicker than Marcus' torso. The Zurian's carapace gleamed under the dim lights, scarred from countless fights. His mandibles clicked in amusement. You're faster than you look, soft skin, Krazak rumbled. But speed won't save you when I snap your spine. Marcus smirked, rolling his shoulders. Talk's cheap, big guy. Let's see if you can back it up. The bell, a salvaged ship's alarm, blared. Krazak lunged, his massive frame moving faster than anything that size should. Marcus ducked, feeling the rush of air as a fist sailed over his head. He countered with a sharp jab to the Zurian's lower ribs, where the exoskeleton was thinnest. Krazak grunted but didn't stagger. Tickles, the Zurian sneered, swinging a backhand that sent Marcus skidding across the floor. The crowd erupted. Marcus spat blood, tasting copper. His bio-augments hummed beneath his skin, adrenaline sharpening his focus. Krazak charged again, but this time, Marcus was ready. He sidestepped, grabbed one of Krazak's arms, and used the alien's momentum to flip him onto his back. The impact shook the floor. The Zurian roared, scrambling up, but Marcus was already moving. A spinning kick to the knee joint, a brutal elbow to the throat slit. Krazak wobbled, his movements sluggish. Marcus didn't let up. One final uppercut sent Krazak crashing down, his carapace cracking against the metal. The crowd went silent, then explosive cheers. 12 seconds. Someone shouted from the sidelines. New record. Marcus exhaled, rolling the tension from his shoulders. He glanced at the stunned faces in the crowd. Aliens who had come to see humans fail, now staring in disbelief. A Vexian bookmaker, his frills twitching nervously, handed Marcus a pouch of credits. No one's ever dropped a Zurian that fast, he muttered. Marcus pocketed the credits. Guess you've never seen a human pissed off before. He walked off the floor, ignoring the whispers. Near the exit, a group of other banned athletes waited. Lena Chen, a former zero-G gymnast, Javier Ruiz, an ex-Marine turned wrestler, and Tasha Volkova, a boxer with a cybernetic right hook. Damn Rocket, Lena said, tossing him a water pouch. You made that look easy. Marcus took a long drink. It wasn't. That guy hits like a freighter, Javier grinned. And now the whole underground knows humans aren't just unpredictable, we're unstoppable. Tasha cracked her knuckles. Good, let's keep it that way. A shadow fell over them. A tall, cloaked figure stepped into the light. A Krellian, but not Vorath. This one had scars across his chitin and a cybernetic eye that glowed faintly blue. "You fight well, human," the Krellian said, his voice gravelly, "but you're drawing too much attention." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "And you are. Call me Dravik. I used to be GSL security before I saw what they really are." He leaned in. "Vorath sending enforcers. They'll shut this place down by next cycle." Lena crossed her arms. "So what? Well, just find another arena." Dravik shook his head. "It's not just about the fights. The GSL's scared. If humans keep winning, their whole system falls apart." He glanced at the crowd, still buzzing from Marcus' victory. "You've started something. Now they'll do anything to stop it." Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. "Let them try," Dravik smirked. "That's what I hoped you'd say." He pulled a data chip from his cloak. "Coordinates for an old mining station, neutral ground. If you're serious about taking the GSL down, meet me there." He vanished into the shadows before Marcus could respond. Javier whistled low. "Either that's a trap, or we just got our best shot at payback." Tasha cracked her neck. "Either way, I'm in." Marcus turned the data chip over in his hands. The crowd's noise faded into the background for the first time since the ban. He felt it not just defiance, but possibility. Then let's give the GSL a show they'll never forget. The blood pit thrummed with energy. A derelict space station turned Colosseum, where the galaxy's outcasts came to witness the impossible. Marcus Carter wiped sweat from his brow, his knuckles still raw from the last fight. The crowd, a sea of bioluminescent aliens, scarred mercenaries, and underground gamblers, roared as another human fighter, a wiry Brazilian capoeira master named Silva, flipped a 7-foot Zurian wrestler onto the mat. The Zurian's exoskeleton cracked audibly. The crowd lost its mind. "Told you they'd love us," Marcus grinned, clinking his water canteen with Raj, a former GSL weightlifter from Mumbai. Raj's cybernetic arms gleamed under the flickering arena lights. They just didn't realize how much. Then the alarms blared. Red emergency lights bathed the station in a hellish glow. The crowd's cheers turned to panicked shouts as the station's ancient PA system crackled to life. "Unidentified vessels on approach," a robotic voice announced. "GSL enforcement signatures detected." Marcus' blood ran cold. He vaulted over the railing, landing in the center of the pit where Silva was still basking in his victory. "We've got company," Marcus hissed. Silva's smile vanished. Above them, the station's rusted observation windows revealed the sleek predatory shapes of GSL warships, Vorath's personal fleet. Their ion cannons glowed as they powered up. "Scramble the MPs!" Marcus barked into his wristcom. A voice crackled back. Lena, their tech specialist, hidden in the station's control room. "Already on it. But we've got a problem. Someone sold us out. They knew exactly where to hit us." Marcus' jaw tightened. The Vexian, that slimy, double-crossing sports analyst who'd been sniffing around their matches. He should have known. The first explosion rocked the station. The crowd stampeded for the exits as chunks of the ceiling rained down. Marcus grabbed Raj's shoulder. "Get the others to the shuttles now." Raj hesitated. "What about you?" Marcus' eyes flicked to the GSL warships. "I'm gonna give them a show." He sprinted through the chaos, dodging falling debris and panicking aliens. The station's docking bay was a nightmare of smoke and sparks, but the stolen GSL shuttles were still there, their only way out. Lena's voice buzzed in his earpiece. "EMPs primed on your mark." Marcus skidded to a halt beside the control panel. Outside, the lead GSL warship extended its boarding tubes, ready to flood the station with enforcers. He could almost see Vorath's smug face through the viewport. "Mark," the MPs detonated. A pulse of blue energy rippled through the station, then outward. Every light on the GSL ships winked out. Their weapons systems died. Their engines sputtered. For 3 glorious seconds, the mighty GSL fleet was nothing but dead metal floating in space. The Blood Pit's backup generators kicked in, bathing the docking bay in eerie red light. Marcus didn't waste time. He wrenched open the nearest shuttle's hatch. Move, move, move. Human fighters piled in, Silver, Raj, a dozen others. The engines roared to life just as the first GSL enforcers burst into the bay, their energy rifles flickering back online. Lena. You clear, Marcus shouted into the comm. Already on my way, hot shot, she replied. Another shuttle's engines whined to life nearby. The GSL enforcers opened fire. Plasma bolts scorched the hull as Marcus yanked the controls, sending the shuttle spiraling out of the bay. Behind them, the Blood Pit groaned under another explosion. Vorath's ships, furious and flailing, were firing blindly. Marcus grinned. You wanted unpredictable? He punched the throttle. The shuttle shot past the crippled GSL fleet like a bullet. How's this for unfair? Silver whooped as the stars blurred into streaks. Raj just shook his head, laughing. They'll never let us back in the league after this. Marcus didn't look back. Who said we want back in? The shuttle vanished into the black. The stolen GSL broadcast array hummed to life as Marcus Carter wiped blood from his split lip. Around him, the remaining human athletes worked frantically at the jury-rigged console, their fingers flying across alien interfaces. They'd spent the last week reverse engineering. The derelict comms station shook under another barrage from the GSL warships outside. 30 seconds until we're live across 12,000 systems, shouted Priya Chen, her hands never stopping as she rerouted power through burnt out circuits. If we don't get this right, we die here. Marcus adjusted the camera drone hovering before him. His reflection stared back, bruised, bleeding, but grinning. Perfect. They need to see this. The screen flickered. Then the emergency broadcast override sliced through every entertainment feed, news channel, and public display in the Galactic Federation. Marcus Carter's face appeared 100 meters tall above Zentha Phase capital, on luxury yachts orbiting Rigel 7, in the packed bars of Tau Ceti's mining colonies. People of the galaxy, Marcus began, his voice steady despite the station's groaning hull. You've been lied to. The first footage rolled. GSL Commissioner Vorath in his private chambers, counting stacks of credit chips while a nervous Surian referee looked on. Just call the fouls against the humans, Vorath's voice crackled through the recording. We can't have them winning the championship. Gasps rippled across a million worlds. Next came the medical scans, alien athletes injected with performance enhancers. The GSL had banned for safety concerns. The same drugs they'd accused humans of using. Then the damning piece security footage from the GSL's own archives. Marcus breaking the light speed sprint record during qualifiers. The timer frozen at Feifei seconds, nearly twice as fast as the previous Zurian champion. The screen cut to Vorath screaming at technicians. Erase it. No one can see this. On the bridge of the GSL flagship, Vorath's chitinous plates turned sickly yellow. Shut it down, he roared at his crew. Jam every frequency, but it was too late. The transmission had already reached Cententrum, where Galactic Council members watched in stunned silence. It reached the industrial worlds of the Vexian conglomerate, where workers paused their machines. It even reached the blood pits, where a scarred Zurian bookmaker threw down his datapad and snarled. We've been betting on fixed games. Marcus leaned closer to the camera. They banned us because we were better, because we exposed their lie, that they're the strongest, the fastest, the best. The station shuddered violently as another plasma round struck home. Alarms wailed. But the galaxy deserves real competition, real sports. A proximity alert blared. Priya's voice cut through the chaos. Marcus, they're boarding. He didn't flinch. So here is my offer. Marcus tapped his wrist display across the galaxy, every screen split, showing the GSL's crimes on one side and a simple message on the other. Join us, the feed cut just as the first breaching charges blew open the station's airlock. The last thing a trillion viewers saw was Marcus Carter grinning as he raised his fists. On 1,000 worlds, riots erupted outside GSL offices. Zurian athletes tore the league insignia from their uniforms. Vexian news networks, previously mocking the humans, now scrambled to condemn the corruption. And in the darkest corners of the galaxy, where the underground matches had been quietly growing, new banners unfurled. The same word, scrawled in 100 alien languages. Human Vorath's warships kept firing, but the real damage was done. The GSL didn't just lose control of the narrative, they lost the galaxy. As the first human-built fighters streaked toward the besieged station, Marcus grabbed a drifting piece of debris and scrawled on the wall in his own blood. The same message he'd just sent to 1 trillion beings: join us. Then he turned to face the boarding party, his fists raised and laughing. You shouldn't have banned us, you just made us the home team. The feed cut to static across the galaxy, but the message kept spreading faster than light, faster than the GSL could contain it. By the time the first alien athletes publicly resigned from the league, Marcus Carter's grin was already legendary. The arena lights blazed like newborn stars as Marcus Carter stepped onto the synthetic turf of the GFR's inaugural stadium. The crowd, a riot of colors from 100 species, roared loud enough to shake the orbital platform's stabilizers. Across the hexagonal combat zone, Commissioner Vorath flexed his chitinous limbs, hydraulic augmentations hissing. You don't belong here, softkin, Vorath broadcasted through the stadium speakers, his mandibles dripping with contempt. This was never your game. Marcus rolled his shoulders, the bio-augmentations along his spine humming. Funny, last I checked, you're the one who needed machines to keep up. The crowd erupted. Alien bookmakers had given Marcus fate-of-fay odds. No human had ever beaten a Krellian in single combat. The holographic countdown flashed crimson. 3, 2, 1. Vorath lunged first, his armored fist whistling toward Marcus' skull. The human ducked, feeling the wind of the blow ruffle his hair. He countered with a jab to Vorath's thoracic vent, a weakness Head studied in GSL footage. The Krellian staggered, his exoskeleton ringing like a cracked bell. You fight like a bureaucrat, Marcus taunted, circling. All paperwork and no punch. Vorath snarled and activated his cybernetics. Servos whined as his speed tripled. A backhand sent Marcus skidding across the turf, his ribs screaming. Blood trickled from his lip. The crowd gasped. Humans weren't supposed to get up from that. Marcus spat red and grinned. That all you got? The Krellian charged again, a blur of chitin and machinery. This time, Marcus didn't dodge. He braced, letting Vorath's momentum carry them both into the arena wall. The impact cracked the reinforced plating. Marcus drove an elbow into Vorath's primary neural cluster, a dirty move the GSL had outlawed. The commissioner shrieked, his augments flickering. In the VIP box, a Vexian commentator dropped his drink. By the void, he's using the Krellian's own weight against him. Marcus pressed the advantage, a knee to Vorath's abdomen, a spinning kick to his stabilizer nodes. Each strike precise, brutal, efficient. The crowd's jeers turned to cheers, then to something deeper. Awe. Vorath collapsed to one knee, his cybernetics sputtering. Impossible, he wheezed. Your species weak. Marcus grabbed the commissioner's crest, forcing him to meet his eyes. Weak, he gestured to the holograms floating above the arena, footage of human athletes breaking records, winning wars, surviving where no other species could. You banned us because we played by rules you couldn't even understand. With a final heave, Marcus hurled Vorath into the stadium's central display. The screen shattered, raining glass like stardust. The crowd fell silent. Then the chant began, first from the human contingent, then spreading like wildfire through aliens of every shape and hue. Gikfa! G! Afar. Afar. A floating medic drone rushed to Vorath's side, but he swatted it away. This changes nothing, he spat. The GSL is eternal. Marcus turned to the nearest holographic recorder, its lens glowing red across the galaxy. Funny thing about eternity, he said, wiping blood from his brow. It's got a habit of ending. The GFA's first official match began 30 minutes later, a zero-gravity sprint between human and Zurian athletes. The humans won by 3 laps. By the end of the cycle, 17 major systems had withdrawn from the GSL. By the next, the Federation Council launched an investigation into Vorath's corruption, and by the time Marcus Carter retired, his name was etched beside the GFA's founding principle: no species left behind. The GSL banned humans. Humans just banned the GSL.